This special report brought to you by NASA.
Three, two, one, go!
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for that applause, and welcome to NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C. We are live inside the Webb Auditorium to celebrate the NASA worm, one of the world's most iconic symbols. You can see it here behind me. It is a sleek, simple design, NASA, styled in a bold, unique type. It first debuted in 1976 and then was retired in 1992, but now it is back supporting NASA's main insignia, commonly referred to as the meatball. Today, we will hear opening remarks from NASA communications experts, followed by a panel discussion, and one of those panelists is actually the designer and creator of the worm. We will learn the history of its creation, why it went away for almost 30 years, and why it's back, and also why our agency and the public love it. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Mark Etkind to the stage, the Associate Administrator of NASA's Office of Communications.
Thanks, Megan, and thanks all for joining us today. It's not often that I get to undress in public, so just indulge me for a brief moment. Yeah, there you go. Yes, thank you. This NASA logo is a beacon that shines across the globe as a celebration of human achievement. And it's safe to say that the worm is one of the most powerful insignias in the world, representing ingenuity, exploration, possibilities, and the best of what America can accomplish. The NASA worm was born of the Federal Design and Improvement Program and designed by Richard Daney. Thank you, Richard, for joining us today. It was introduced in 1976 and retired in 1992. But at NASA, we don't let great things go to waste. So we brought it back in 2020 to live aside the primary logo, the meatball. Since its historic launch, the worm logo type has resurfaced on signage, spacecraft, spacesuits, shirts worldwide. A NASA worm sculpture sits outside our brand new Earth Information Center at headquarters. The worm marked the return of the American human spaceflight on American rockets from American soil. The worm helped us usher in Artemis 1 and will be with us as we return to the moon. At NASA, we're constantly telling the stories of human achievement because when we do that, we inspire the next generation of innovators and explorers, the Artemis generation. And whenever the Artemis generation sees the worm, they will be reminded that the missions of tomorrow will be sparked by their accomplishments today. Thank you, Richard, for this remarkable symbol.
Thank you, Mark. As he said, the worm officially wriggled itself out of retirement starting in 2020. And the lead designer behind that reintroduction was David Rager. He's also here today, and let's invite him up to the stage. He's NASA's creative director.
Thank you. I'm David Rager. I'm NASA's creative director, and as design lead across the agency, I help develop and manage NASA's brand. I'm fortunate to be part of the team that brought back the 1976 NASA logo type, working with its creator, Richard Daney. And before I share a few words about that, there are two words for any of you guys tuning in home right now, that you're going to hear a lot today, and they are worm, and that's what we affectionately call the NASA logo type. And this is the NASA insignia, also known as the meatball. And the meatball was created in 1959 after NACA became NASA, and its legacy was solidified through our early and remarkable accomplishments, including the Apollo missions. And on January 1st, 1976, NASA adopted the worm as its primary identifier. Designed by Richard Daney and Bruce Blackburn, a continuously flowing line conveyed a sense of modernity, progress, and propulsion. And it was supported by a new graphic standards manual, essentially a how-to book for the brand. And their new design program was well documented, accessible, and provided endless examples of the new logo in use. And importantly, they partnered with internal creative staff like Bob Schulman to help turn an idea into reality together. Of course, redesigning anything with so much emotional resonance can be tricky, and there certainly were some camps, meatball fans and worm lovers. And in 1992, the NASA logo type was retired and the insignia was reinstated as our official logo. Almost 30 years later, the worm got a second life on the Demo 2 mission, and from there, we looked to see how these two incredible logos could coexist harmoniously. Aesthetically, some might say they come from different planets, but we found with just the right balance, they complement each other fantastically. And on aircraft, we placed the meatball near the crew, towards the front of the craft, and the worm rests on a larger surface for support and legibility. And on our space launch system, the insignia is placed up near the crew, and the worm large and bold on the boosters. And of course, on transportation vehicles on the pad, the supersized worm became the python. We also updated our graphic standards manual to align everything and have been gradually implementing it over the past few years. And that can be seen on places like our buildings and our spacecraft. This is a selfie that Orion took on its recent trip around the moon with all of us photobombing in the background. And we've begun to roll it out on our broadcast packages. The rigorous practice of design documentation continues to be a priority at NASA today. And here's a look behind the scenes at our New Horizon design system. And some examples of it in use on our new website, which is at nasa.gov. Of course, beyond our walls, the public has been incredibly receptive and supportive. Our merchandising office receives hundreds of requests every week, underscoring NASA's enduring influence. You know, and both these marks have made an impact, and they really show how NASA endures as a symbol of something that's larger than us all. I'm certainly thankful for the foresight that NASA had 5 decades ago to collaborate with such a thoughtful and talented designer to help us shape that symbol. Thank you so much, Richard.
Yes, thank you, Richard, and also thank you, David. It was really interesting to hear the thought behind the placement and the usage of our beloved worm again. Now it's time for our panel, so we'd like to start welcoming our guests up to the stage now. Moderating today will be Shelley Tan, graphics reporter at the Washington Post, and joining her on stage will be Richard Daney, designer and